Hi guys, welcome to Dallas. My name is Milijana de Mori. This is Gary de Rodriguez.
Hello.
He lives in Dallas, and Gary is my coach, my mentor for HNLP, Humanistic Linguistic Psychology. 11 years ago we met, and this is one of my favorite ever modalities, Humanistic Linguistic Psychology, that really helps people overcome traumas and fears and phobias and sporting performance and executive performance and performance at exams, where people get the best results when they're at the highest levels of stress. And Gary, I'd like to know two things I want to ask Gary. Give me your favorite result with your clients, believable, and then give me one unbelievable result with your clients, because sometimes or often you have results that are just jaw-droppingly beautiful.
Well, the one thing that's really close to my heart, we're down here in Hyde Warren Park in downtown Dallas. It's a park built over the freeways, actually, which is pretty cool. But to answer your question, Billy, it's one of the most powerful things to do, I think, as a coach or consultant, is you want to be able to go into organizations where you will touch literally really hundreds of people and help them actually increase their own leadership capabilities, therefore create a place of psychological safety where people feel like they belong and they can thrive, which always creates higher performance. The trick is that at the executive leadership level, teams always model the leader, like a child models the parents. They always model the leader, so that the way that leaders actually demonstrate their servility, their extreme ownership, their capacity to actually lead with integrity and congruency and consistency, that is what is then transferred and at the unspoken level expected from team members. And team members will begin to then come to the party, model the leader, and start demonstrating those competencies more effectively. So when I go into organizations, it's always about, first, we start with the foundation of the executive team and increasing their leadership from the inside out. So self-leadership becomes the foundation that all leadership capabilities are actually built upon. When that happens, we produce cultures where people thrive and they want to belong. It's a super important thing, because as a leader, you have to realize that you're just not touching the lives of that one person that's on your team. You're touching their family and their children and their friends and their coworkers. So it becomes a very viral type of influence that a leader can actually produce with people. So I support everybody in diving deep and becoming that consistent, congruent leader that all of us are capable of being.
Yeah, and some of the best things that when you have a company with people that want to be there, that are thriving, the results are measurable.
Yep, always. I mean, it costs over 400% of a high-level executive's annual salary to replace them, up to 150% of a mid-level team member to replace them, up to 30 to 50% of a low-level staff member to replace them. If you're paying an employee $30,000, it's going to take you $45,000 to replace them. So once you vet them into your team, it is always the most profitable, the most productive thing, and I think the most moral thing to do, is to evolve them. People come into organizations, they want to do good, they want to improve, they want to actually move forward in the organization. It is, I believe, an organization's responsibility to evolve them from the inside out, starting with self-leadership again, and then building on that to a higher level of leadership development.
Gary, what's your most unbelievable result you have with a client?
Okay, so this was years ago, and it is based in how the mind works. The subconscious mind takes vivid sensory specific.
All right, and now, Gary, I would love to ask you, what was one of your most unbelievable transformation that you had with a client?
This is a power of a client, and the power that I think all of us have. But I was introduced to a young lady whose mother had brought her into my clinic, and her mother asked if I could help her. And what had occurred to her is that she had the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. She was about 23 at the time. The umbilical cord at the moment of birth had wrapped around her neck, strangled her, and then there was oxygen deprivation, which caused brain damage. So we sat down, and because we knew where the trauma was, we did a regression piece of work that went right back to her birth experience. And what I call, we re-imprinted it with different pictures, sounds, and feelings and different experiences around the rebirthing. She was so good in the trance process that at a subconscious level, we overlaid the trauma with all the best experiences of her life and a magical, incredible, easy, loving birth experience. And when she came out, tears were pouring down her face from how beautiful her new rebirth was. And I thought, okay, well, fair enough, that was effective. We'll see what the results are in 2 weeks. So before the 2-week period was up and she came back to see me, her neurologist called me. And I answered the phone. My secretary called her and said, Dr. Smith is on the phone for you. And I pick up the phone and I said, hello, this is Gary De Rodriguez. And the first thing out of his mouth was, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know. We did a piece of work. And he said, I have been seeing her since she was 12. She's 23 right now. And last time I saw her, she had the capacity of a 7-year-old. I'm sitting with a 23-year-old woman right now, and I have to know what you did. Somehow, not according to what I've done, partially, but it was a power of her subconscious mind. Because we have a redundancy of 10 to the 11th power of neurological connections in our body. Somehow, her body rewired itself to bypass the damage, and she got more mental capacity, emotional capacity, analytical capacity in a very short period of time. I don't literally, neurologically, or biologically know how that happened, but it happened. And that neurologist came and did all of our certifications to learn how we facilitated that, because then he wanted to start facilitating to get those type of results as well. So it was a magical time. It was rewarding from the perspective that we really helped change someone's life. And Milijana, she's been trained in all this information. She gets extraordinary results. But this is the power of understanding the owner's manual for how your head creates your reality.
Yeah, it's beautiful how our mind is so powerful. And when we let go of the trauma, like the physical trauma, emotional trauma, the body has the opportunity to do what it needs, what it does best, and that is keep an equilibrium and go into healing. And sometimes it's beyond what we can imagine, because you removed what was draining your physical, mental, physical energy.
There's new studies out right now. You can Google YouTube and Google like the effect of trauma on the brain and on the DNA. And there are all these new studies that say that trauma actually affects the brain development can alter DNA, is at the root cause of several of the major diseases like heart disease and cancers that are flowing through our cultures right now. So it becomes even more important from a health perspective, not to mention a performance perspective, to really look deep inside and find out where these different traumas lie for us, because there's very effective methods that will resolve them. At least a memory resolution technique that I developed years ago, Milijana's trained in, one of the best in the world in that process, that can resolve trauma anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes from any kind of traumatic event. So these are processes that are now currently available, and they're out there and people are trained in them. So seek it out, because quite frankly, we owe it to ourselves to be the most expanded we can be, and really the most emotionally free that we can be.
Yeah. Gary, thank you for sharing.
Always, Millie.
Thanks for showing me Dallas. I'm just surprised, like it's just more beautiful than I'm expecting. So
it's a beautiful city.
If you haven't already, visit Dallas.
Yeah.
Visit Gary.
Come on down.
Yeah. And have an awesome day. Again, if you have any questions, anything you would like more information on, find us.
Bye.